We're going to go deep into, throwing mechanics, being able to break down really some of the best quarterbacks in 2023. For the guys that have watched this or have watched me before, I apologize for being a little bit late and being able to provide, as much value. I mean, hopefully online, you guys have still been able to, watch the stuff that we're doing. And be able to, hold on, let me see. Okay, cool. Hopefully you guys still been able to watch the videos. I think a lot of this stuff that we've been talking about still applies, right? But I know you guys always like to get updated, new stuff of what's going on. And, within like the NFL, within college football, to be able to see, and I'm going to start doing these breakdowns as well. But, see Bryce Young, I did that the other day. We got Will Levis coming in this weekend. But then we also have, like Brock Purdy in the NFL would have been great. And I'm going to do that. Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of great guys that we had that we're going to be able to get some updated breakdowns for you, which again, I'm really, really excited about. As always, if you guys are watching this and, have any questions or, want me to go over anything in particular, anything specific, please let me know and we'll be able to go over that. So let me go into the actual live part of this now. Let me see here. I want to see how many guys we got going, how many people we have in here, just so I can know if I should start this or if I should wait a little bit. Let me see. Here, let's click that link there. Boom. Okay. How to have a faster release. Yes, thanks, Caleb, for showing up. I'm going to definitely be going over how to improve the release. That's something that I always, feel like is something that we need to be able to better understand, right? Better, or get more in depth into. So here, yeah, we go. Control room. That's what I need. I'm still getting used to doing lives again. So yeah, like I said, if any of you guys have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. And, we'll continue to go in depth into the, throwing mechanics here. So I'm going to go over some of the best guys, this year. And here, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Share screen. It's going to transition over when I do this. And this stuff too, by the way, is exactly what we go through when you are doing a breakdown with me, right? A lot of the same stuff, except it just ends up being you guys that are able to get the, information, right? Instead of, being like, or you guys get the breakdown, right? Instead of it being primarily focused on like, for here, Patrick Mahomes, right? So instead of being Patrick Mahomes being the main focus, it would be you. Okay. So, we'll go ahead and look into it. Overstriding. I don't know who the 6'9", we're going to get some interesting comments, I guess, here today. But yeah, so we'll go ahead. We're going to look into Patrick Mahomes, and I'm actually going to go into the overstriding thing first, because what ends up being important with this, right, and how we're able to, what is overstriding? Okay, we've talked about this in the past, where when you're going and you're striding, right, you're getting set up to be able to throw the ball. I'm big in saying that, like you want to have more ability to stride out than less ability to stride out. Okay, we don't want to get too caught up in being short with our step. Right. Some of the coaches are really, focused on not having a, too long of a step. Okay. And overstriding, quote unquote. And it's not about overstriding as much as what it ends up being that is incorrect with people that are overstriding is spending too long with their foot off of the ground. Okay. So what you want to be able to do here is we want to be able to take this step, right? And we got to get this foot down quick. Okay. And so if you take a long stride, right here, let me actually move this on my computer so I can see what we got here. Okay. So yeah, if we take too long of a stride, okay, or too short of a stride or too long of a stride, right, it's going to impact how our weight shift is. The idea here is we want to be able to get our weight into the back leg and transition our weight into the front leg. And we want to be able to maintain as much weight into the back leg for as long as we possibly can. That's going to be the most effective way to be able to generate force and power into your throw. Okay, so if you have a issue, again, if you have an issue with the stride, right, overstride, understride, whatever, that a lot of times comes from not getting the front foot down. Okay, so when you take this step, you got to get this foot down fast. Okay, now when we want to be able to throw the ball further, it's natural for us to have a little bit longer stride. Okay, but what's important here is we want to be able to keep that weight into that back hip and then transition all of our weight onto the front leg, right? So we want to be able to, get all of our weight back, right? Keep that the weight back as long as we can, and then continual shift onto the front leg. So it stands out with him, right, is as he's releasing the ball, right? So he's here, he drives that elbow through, up and through, right? As he's releasing the ball, he still has his hips pretty far back behind his front heel, right? And then as he continues to finish through, his hips continue to get up over that front heel. So he's continuing to move forward during the entire throw. Okay, that's important in understanding how to be able to, how the best guys throw the ball. I'm always talking about this where it's like, I'm not trying to, recreate the wheel here, right? I am just looking to see what do the best guys do, and time and time again, and just teach it, make it so you guys can get a better understanding of what's important, what's not important. What are the things that are unique to Patrick Mahomes, unique to Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, blah, 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 right? And what are the things that they all do similarly, so then you can really master that and make it so then you can implement it into your throw. Some drills to improve your spiral. Most of that has to do with the wrist flick. Okay, so, I'm just going to go ahead and answer some of your questions as you bring them through. So, continue to ask questions, because I want to be able to help the guys that are, if you're showing up for live, right, it's important to, ask questions, right, be active here. But at the same time, you want to be able to implement this stuff, right? So I find a lot of times there's really two totally different scales of people, right? And one of them, I think, is we have one side of the spectrum that is very focused on learning, right? Spends a lot of time, maybe watching videos, trying to figure things out. I know I'm a little bit on this side of the spectrum, right? Where I like to spend time trying to figure out how can I get better? What are ways that I can improve, and not enough time really being able to implement all the areas to improve, right? And so we want to make sure, this is important understanding, but don't leave out the practice, right? And then there's the other side of things where it's, do, go, but not really taking a step back and trying to figure out how can I be more efficient? How can I be more effective? Okay. And so what we want to be able to do is, get this information, but don't just get the information and think if you do this, 2 or 3 times, spiral drills, whatever, work on the wrist flick, that you're going to suddenly be able to make a big improvement, right? It has to take that consistency that's going to make it so you could actually see improvement. Okay. So main thing with this is, and I was going to show this drill anyway here too, is we get our load, right? We get into a load position. There's a few different ways that we can really do this. I'm gonna kind of backtrack here. So first, I loaded, right? I just paused in this position, and then from here, I work on getting that wrist flick, right? And if I still struggle with getting a consistent spiral here, we can continue to take steps to get into the specifics, right? So for this one, now I'm just getting, and the common thing that I see here is people don't get the nose of football facing straight ahead, right? So when you're doing this, make sure the nose of football is facing straight ahead and just flick the ball, right? Again, people that are coming in here, they're just joining, go ahead, and if you have any questions, anything specific that you want to learn, let me know, right? That's what I'm talking about in this video here is, some of the bad things your people are doing with the wrist. Get that pinky all the way around, right? Make it so we got a good neutral wrist, and then we're just flicking the football, right? Another one that I added in here that's not in this video is getting into this same kind of similar position, okay? And really working on just going back a little bit further and then finishing from there, right? So then we can kind of get that, because right here, I really just am trying to make it just like that action, just the wrist, right? And then we can go a little bit further back, you know, bring that hand back and then throw, right? Get your hand back on top of the ball, which is going to be, you know, similar to how you're throwing, okay? And then, you know, as you can get better with that, now implement loading and being able to get yourself to come through, right? Or you could even go into the specifics of your load, okay? Just working on getting that load down, making sure you're getting the ball in the position that you want to get it to, right? See how I'm doing that here, right? Just work on this, right? Work on your ability to load, right? Load, okay? Doing that will help you out, okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm reading the comments here. So yeah, I mean, throwing ends up being a part of obviously doing it or being able to improve, you know, the spiral. Make sure you're getting, you know, you can also look into the grip, right? How you're holding the football. I'm big on, you know, like I think that having this index finger kind of close to the top is big, as well as being able to really spread out that pinky, right? So you want to be able to get that pinky all the way up pretty high or pretty wide, I guess could be a way to put it. Okay, so you can see where I am with my pinky here. Okay, so I try to get as much space here, and I've even kind of opened up my index finger a little bit more, and that will also help with, you know, being able to throw with a little bit better spiral. You got to be able to have a good grip of the football. Okay, we're going to go into taking a look at, let's take a look at Joe Burrow. Okay, and I'm going to do some breakdowns as well, you know, so make sure that, you know, if you guys are watching the YouTube lives here, and want to be more consistent, I'm going to be doing these a lot more often, right? Because I want to be able to engage and see what is it that you guys need, right? And so I can start to make some more videos. So that's what I think ended up making it. So I kind of took a step away from it. For one, I was just trying to do so much in, you know, just video creation, video editing. I was taking up so much time. I had to take a step back. But two, you know, sometimes I'd make these videos and spend all this time and then I'd get like 50 views, you know, get 100 views. I'm just like, what am I doing? You know, just spend all this time and not really getting anything. So, you know, when you guys are asking these questions, I'm going to take notes so I can start actually making videos that can get more in depth into some of this stuff. So make sure that you guys are asking questions so I can help you guys out. Okay. Now we'll go into, you know, Joe Burrow here. He starts off with a freaking great throw with this. Okay. And we're going to still get into release there. Okay, Caleb as well. I know you asked that earlier on, right? But again, you know, see his stride, okay? There's probably people that would say that's overstriding, right? Because of how far out he is, right? There's probably people that say that Patrick Mahomes overstrides. Those are probably the two best quarterbacks. You know, you got to throw Josh Allen in there as well. You know, but these are the three best quarterbacks in the league, and all of them, I know for sure Josh Allen, people would say is overstriding because of how long of a stride that he takes. So you got to be willing to, you know, or just because somebody says overstriding doesn't mean it means that your stride is too long. It means really that your front foot is not getting down fast enough. Okay, you got to get that front foot down. And when you get that front foot down, keep your weight back. Okay, don't get all of your weight onto that front leg right away. So many people I get videos of that are, you know, getting that front foot down, and immediately when they get the front foot down, have shifted all of their weight onto their front leg. Okay, and then what happens with those types of people, and I know you can't see it here, but you end up extending that front knee a ton, right? And then you don't have the ability to get your hips all the way through, right? You can't continue through the throw. So really being able to isolate that and improve that is, I think, something that is really, really important when it comes to throwing. In terms of that back leg there, Brandon, you know, I think that there's a lot of different ways that you could look at that. I personally, you know, kind of drag that back leg. You can see here with Joe Burrow, he's lifting that back leg up. Okay. I think that there's a lot of different ways, you know, that you could throw it. I don't think that the back leg, you know, dragging or coming up is the biggest thing, right? I think that the ability to shift your weight from your back leg to your front leg is, the biggest thing, and keeping that weight back, especially when we're talking about the lower body. So when you're loading, keep that weight back as much as you can. So then, and we've talked about this concept before, you can get as much behind the football as possible. Okay, here we go again. So we get back, right? And so see how he's here. And, for this, he kind of gets his weight forward, going forward pretty quick because he's trying to get the ball out of his hands quick, which we can go into faster release here, Caleb. It's a great time to be able to get into that. Okay. And so the key with getting a quick release is being able to be active with the wrist. Okay. When you have an effective release, it means that you're able to get the wrist around quickly. Okay, most people that struggle with the wrist, okay, have a longer release. Here we could use this as an example. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so we'll just go through. This is typically what I do for people that send in a breakdown, right? And the release to me stands out as a thing that needs to be worked on. Right. So I calculate the release. Everybody's a little bit different with it. I start the release from when the front hand leaves the football. Okay. Some people just want to go with the whole overall motion. I think that when the front hand leaves the football is an effective way to be able to do it. So if we look at the timestamps there at the bottom, okay, this is happening at 7.72 seconds. So I'm just going to go 7.2. I know if you guys have watched these videos before, you guys have seen me do this. We're going to go maybe we'll give him a little bit more time, right? We'll say 0.83 here on the left. Okay. Then I just go in, I went a little bit fast there. Dang, his video is, actually, no, we're good. All right. So that was, so it's actually 08. So right here. It's 08. It's 0.83. Okay. Now he's at 118. Okay. So that was 0.1 seconds here. 0.08. 0.18. Okay. 0.72. 0.82. Okay. So just with that, we could see how much more progress Joe Burrow's gone through. Okay. There's 2.8. There's 9.2. Okay. 3.8. So at this point, Joe Burrow is about 0.1 seconds ahead. Okay. So you can see that, this has already been 0.3 seconds. I always tell guys that you, want to get the ball out of your hands in about 0.3, a little bit later than 0.3. Right. But there's, I just did one on Bryce Young. There's a throw that he made that he got out in 2.7. What do we have here? Just looking up. Do you need all your cleats in the ground to throw with maximum velocity? Are you talking about with the front leg or the back leg there, Brandon? And coach, what do you recommend for someone with small hands? I recommend people with small hands that you get a strong grip. Got to get a stronger grip if you have smaller hands. You also need to be able to, work on widening your hands, right? Make sure you have plenty of range of motion within your hands. So we're at 0.3 here on the left. We're still at 0.2 on the right. And we talked about how he's trying to get the ball out of his hands quick on this one. So, when we went back and we're looking into, or talking about keeping your weight on your back leg, we talked about how this one, he looks like he's trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So he really shifted his weight forward real quick to make it so then he can get the ball out of his hands quick, right? So he's getting the ball out of his hands in under 0.3 seconds. Okay. So in the time period that Joe Burrow went from here, right here, sorry, 7.2, right? Again, we're looking at the bottom. Okay. From here to here is the same amount of time, right? Ball out of his hands as person on the left did to go from here to here. Hasn't even started getting the ball coming forward yet. Okay, so when it comes to quicker release, right? Still 0.4 seconds, still hasn't started coming forward. Now at 0.58, it's finally starting to come forward. Releases at 7.3, right? So 0.7, higher than 0.7 release time. So what's important, right? What makes a big deal, or what ends up being, an important part of being able to get the ball out of your hands quick is being effective in our actions, right? We can't be, for one, what stands out here? One, the first load, nose out to the side. Okay, the nose should be either down or back. Right? He's kind of got, you can see Joe Burrow kind of has the ball down, right? Once we get here, we got to be active with the wrist. Okay, what does active with the wrist mean? That means that as quickly as possible, we need the nose of the football to be facing that way. Okay, notice he's here, boom. Look at how fast he is with that wrist. He's already turning the nose of the football. Right? Now, he's able to, because he's doing that, that shoulder and hand, or that shoulder won't be able to externally rotate, or the hand won't be able to get as far back because he's already turning within the hand. Right? Then we're here, getting that wrist around. He does a pretty good job of getting the wrist around and being able to release the ball. He's not bad with his wrist. He's just really bad with the load. Okay, getting that wrist around, elbow through, and then finish. Right, and you can see how active he is with the elbow and with the wrist. Okay, I have no problem throwing consistent spirals, but I don't have the strongest arm. So it's the back. Yeah, no, all the back, or all your cleats in the ground to throw with maximum velocity. So in the back leg, then, when you're loading, yes. Okay, so you're here, boom, all the back legs, all your cleats are in the ground. Okay, then as you're transitioning forward, your back foot has to come off the ground. Well, let's continue to transition through here. All right, let me find something that works. All right, here we go. All right, so see here, boom, back foot all the way in the ground. Okay, and now driving, and see what happens here with his feet. He pushes and rotates, but see how he keeps his weight back, right? That makes it so then now as he releases, he ends up having to keep his weight back the whole time. But as he releases, he's able to, still continue rotation through, the hips. And that's what ends up being important, right? Because when we talk about throwing the ball with more velocity, right? Being a great quarterback, what is important about being a great quarterback is in games, being able to have velocity the same that you do when you're, not playing a game. Okay, so what's important with the ability to transfer over, 7-on-7, things like that, is how well do we use our wrist? How well do I shift our weight? Okay, because even though he keeps his weight back, he still rotates so all of his weight gets to the outside part of the foot, even though it doesn't come all the way forward, but he gets enough rotation to then be able to flick the ball or flick his wrist effectively and be able to, still locate the ball in the place that it needs to go. Now, did he put the most amount of force on this football than he's ever put? Absolutely not. Right? But he was able to get it in the position and throw it with the timing to be able to make it so now it could be a completion. Right? Because if he has to go and reset himself here, he gets to this position and, this is obviously a timing route. Okay. He's looking to keep that safety off, right? Hits this back foot. He knows where he's going, sets his feet and throws. Now, if he had to avoid or take an extra step here, he's late, right? He has to get the ball out at that time. So he's doing all the things that he can within his hips, within his wrist to be able to get the ball out of his hand in the right timing, right? With the right timing. Okay. It's important. It's important to not only get good at throwing the ball, but it's also important being able to be a better quarterback, right? Another big thing, we got to be able to continue to rotate through the spine, right? Don't be lackadaisical with your spine rotation. And what happens for guys that aren't able to create good spine rotation, I put this in the video that I did yesterday, I think I posted it, is we don't want side bend, right? We want rotation. Okay, so no side bend, yes on rotation. That's the most effective way to be able to get the ball out of your hands. Okay, is making sure we're really, really good with being able to rotate in the spine, right? And not compensating by having too much activity within the head, right? And that's what commonly happens is people are going to move all over the place with the head rather than staying, nice and locked in with their head, neck, and spine. So like a pivot in the back leg, yeah, definitely like a pivot in that back leg. So and that's, I guess that's with how I do it, right? Is I kind of, pivot. Okay. You don't have to pivot. Like, I think when you watch Mahomes throw, he's a little bit more of a, kind of pushes off. I'm just doing some drop back. Okay, so you can see how I twist, right? And I like to twist. I mean, that I try to follow what, like, Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady has mechanics that are very replicable. You can repeat them. It's not super hard to be able to repeat them. So, I kind of try to utilize what he does. Okay, and you can see how fast he is at kind of pivoting and twisting that leg to be able to get those hips around. Now, again, I mean, Mahomes pushes, right? I mean, he ends up pivoting, but that pivot is more after the ball comes off the ground. Either way, it's going to be a twist, right? Even when you watch Mahomes do it, it's still a twist at the end. Okay, so it's a twist here. It's it's a push and a twist. Right. And then, with that front leg, you want to be, your weight wants to be coming forward. Okay. So you want to be able to almost like pull your weight forward by driving into that heel. Right. So if your weight, it comes forward too quick, okay, then all your weight gets onto the balls of your feet right away. And then you kind of extend up with the heel. But if you keep that heel down, right, and you land and you can get that heel down, and then you shift your weight onto that front leg, maintaining that heel position down, and really use like the hamstrings and glutes to pull you forward. Now you have more weight behind the throw, which is, a critical concept when it comes to throwing power, right? It's all about how your feet move, right? I tell you, I talk about this all the time with quarterbacks. I talk about this all the time with sprinters, running faster, jumping higher, lifting more weights, right? How you are able to impact the ground makes such a big difference. And one of the things that I tell people too, that could be effective for you is if you stand up, right? And you're just like in normal stand-up position, right? Just standing on the earth. And then you like push your feet down, right? Try not to do too much with the knees, try not to do too much with the hips, just like actively push down into the ground. Right. And by the way, guys, if you guys are watching this and getting good information, like it, that really does help out when it comes to getting more people to see this video and, be able to utilize it. And also, I think it makes it so you guys can access it a little bit easier, too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so we want to be actively pushing down into the ground, right? To make it so now you can engage your core, right? You're standing, you're pushing your feet down the ground. You're not using your knees a lot. You're not using your hips a lot. You're just pushing down. Core turns on immediately, right? And so the point to be able to understand there is people that have a better relationship with the ground are naturally using their core better, which means they're naturally able to use their hips better, which means they're naturally able to, utilize their spine better. Everything starts when you have good core engagement. If you don't have your core on, right, if you're not using your core, then you're not going to be able to generate power. Okay, the guys that are able to jump the highest, run the fastest, throw the furthest are utilizing their core all the time, even when they're just standing, right? And even when they're just, walking around, they have their core engaged. So be aware of that, right? It's not that you want to be sinking down, right? You want to really be standing tall, but you have to be able to utilize your core in order to, stay tall, right? And get your spine into the right position. All right, so that's another important concept. I'm going to also go through, I'm not going to actually do this right now, just because, we spent a good amount of time going over the throw, but I did see that I guess they did a special on Josh Allen on some of the main things that he did to improve his throwing release. You can see here, I mean, you can see the difference between my hand and his hand with just this video here, right? So, I don't necessarily have the smallest hands, but I don't have the biggest hands either. Right, so you can see, me holding on to the ball. Let's see, before I turn. Right, where my kind of wrist position is, where my pinky position is, right, in comparison to his, right? He's a lot bigger guy than I am. but his hand easily covers that lace. Okay, and I guess he might have used to maybe hold it more like this. I guess I didn't see this. So, but then he kind of turned it here, and I like that. I like having that index finger close to the top, just like he does, right? And I like also being able to get my thumb all the way up the best that I can, right? Again, I don't know exactly, what they're talking about. I didn't get to watch all this. Okay, look at that external rotation though. Okay, look at how good he's able to get into that external rotation. No, I don't think I'm going to be in a position where you can really see, external rotation here. But, I get to probably about that same spot, and that's my external rotation, right? So we're looking at this. Again, I think my angle isn't great, but you can see how well he does. So now, and then, what happens is as you're coming through, you want to be able to continue extension. I know we lose his elbow, but in continue movement through with that, through the arm. Okay. So what I've seen a lot of guys do when they send me video is they get to this position, right? Where they get the elbow here, and then they just kind of stop instead of continuing the hand all the way through, right? So you want to be able to get through with the arm and then continue. So see how he, I'm sure when he actually throws, when he's trying to put a lot more on it. These guys are like 15 yards away, and he obviously has, the strongest arm in the league. So he has no problem throwing the ball 15 yards. This is just all wrist flick, right? He's just here, just easy wrist flick and putting everything behind it. Okay. But he's not stopping the elbow. Okay. And he's continuing through that throw. Right. And so this is probably just like something that he does as kind of like a warm up. Right. So then when he actually is getting the ball to come out of his hands, he's able to, really put the most amount on the ball. But, I was going through and trying to create this video. I didn't see this. I am trying to, build a business here. I don't get to watch a ton of, pre-game Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football whenever they did this. But it does look like it'd be interesting to at least get some information for what he did to change in his mechanics. You guys could check it out. I got it off of YouTube. So you could check it out on YouTube to be able to see, what are some of the things that he did. It doesn't look like we go a ton into his actual throw. When I can actually slow it down more, hopefully you can get more. But yeah, check out or wait for that video. I'll probably release it sometime this week. I have a couple videos that are coming out. Again, if you're watching this, you're getting good information. Go ahead and like it. I really appreciate you guys that are here for a while, able to learn more about throwing mechanics. We're going to be doing these on a weekly basis. We're going to go into accuracy. We're going to spend a lot of time on throwing power. When it comes to improving throwing power, I really do think that there's nobody putting out better information than I do. And I'm looking forward to being able to continue to help guys out the best that I can. I'm going to start going live on more platforms as well. Start going on Instagram and TikTok and all that type of stuff to make it so we can get more engagement, help out more people. So yeah, if you guys like this and are looking to improve the throw, we have some great options. We have a monthly option for the quarterback program. You could also get the full 3 months. And the big thing with, the quarterback program to me is the ability to really get into, building the shoulder strength, the core strength, the power, the ability to push off of the back legs, right? Making it so you have something daily to be able to really focus on, not only within your throwing mechanics, right, and being able to throw the ball well, because I put together like almost like a pitching program in terms of, building up your shoulder, right? Throw the ball 15 yards 10 times, 25 yards 10 times, 35 yards 10 times, 45 yards 10 times. So you're building up your shoulder, you're building up your throwing mechanics, but we also have days where you're just working on your wrist flick, right? You're just working on your weight shift. You're just working on your ability to shift from your back leg to your front leg, right? We have days where we're just working on your ability to throw on the run effectively, right? And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to help you in understanding that the more effective you could be in the weight room and building your shoulder strength and making it so, you're able to get plenty of range of motion within your shoulder, within your hips, right? Get better balance, be able to even run faster, right? If you guys are looking to improve your speed, I include that within the quarterback program. I tell guys, and I wrote this in the email to send out, is that, I want as many people as I can to be talking about like, man, I did the online program with Morey, right, with Performance Lab, and I got great results, right? I run faster, I throw better, I'm stronger, I feel better, my hips move better, my core stronger, everything got better because I did his program. That's my goal, right? It's not that you got okay results. It's not that I got good results. It's not that I got a little bit better. It's that I got a lot better. I think it's the best thing that I did, right? The most valuable thing that I did. Right. And I've already had a lot of people talk about, some really nice things, some really great things about the program, right, and the detail. And the reality is I care a lot, right? Really care a lot about you guys. People tell me all the time that I'm the best coach that they've worked with, and that really means a lot because I do put a lot into it. And again, I really care about how much better you guys get. I wish that I had somebody that really invested into my growth from a mechanic standpoint as much as I do for athletes, because I think I would have been able to be a lot better if I understood more about the throw than I did, right? And so I try to provide what it is that I was missing, I think growing up, to people that are watching the channel, and so far I think that there's a lot of people that have gotten a lot out of it. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. If you're coming in here at the end and haven't watched the rest of the mechanics, right now we're just talking mostly about the throwing mechanic program, and being able to utilize that. There's a monthly option, there's a 3-month option. If you go for 3 months, you commit to it, it's a little bit cheaper. We do have a thing where if you want to just do 1 month and be able to work on your mechanics there, I think that's another great option, right? You can send in as many videos as you want. I still send you guys exercises, I still give you guys drills. I want to be able to, again, help you the best that I can in improving your mechanics. And those are all really, really effective ways to be able to do that, is by, getting on something that at least you're going to be, committed to. The thing about my program is, it's not something that is going to do the work for you, right? As much as I've loved all the accolades that people have given me, I really, at the end of the day, can't do any of it, right? I can't make it so you throw the ball further. I can't make it so you get stronger. I can't make it so you can, really do any of it. You have to decide that it's something that you want to do. And I have the things necessary for you to actually get the results, right? If you need to be able to throw the ball further, if you need to be able to improve your strength, if you need to be able to get your core strength, and you want to be consistent with something, then I would really get specific into what ends up being the most important part. What is the most, the things that you end up really wanting to be able to put a big focus on, and really do the work for, right? If you're willing to do the work, we have everything laid out for you. We give you nutrition, we give you workouts, we give you drills, we give you coaching. Okay. I still think you're going to end up wanting to, throw with your receivers. You're going to want to end up, connecting with guys to make it so you can work on timing, things like that. I can't fix your timing. I can't make it so, some of those things end up getting improved, right? But I will make it so you can throw the ball further. I will make it so you can get the ball out of your hands faster. I will make it so you get more accuracy. I will make it so you have a greater understanding of why you are having any type of struggles with throwing the ball, right? And then being able to work through with you and help you in being able to get the change is something I'm very passionate about, and something that I really want to be able to do to as many quarterbacks as I can, or with as many quarterbacks as I can. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the live for this week. We will be going live again next Friday as well. So if you are watching this and, appreciate Brandon, I'm sure you already left already. But yeah, if this is the first time watching, subscribe, like the video. If you haven't seen me before, check out some more about, Performance Lab, how we could help you guys out. Quarterback mechanics, throwing mechanics, strength training, with speed, power, all of it, all on the channel. Like, subscribe. Again, thanks for watching so much. And we're going to go ahead and sign off.